was outraged and saddened by the enormous loss of life yesterday in the hospital in Gaza. It appears the result of an errant rocket fired by a terrorist group in Gaza.
The media can revise its headlines, but the shameful anti-Semitic fringe of our society has already heard what it wanted to hear.
Again, U.S. intelligence believes that hospital was bombed by an errant rocket from Islamic Jihad. That's what the IDF says in Israel as well. This was Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib late this afternoon speaking downtown.
It's just continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital with children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry. And like, let them cry.
Let's bring in our panel. Ben Domenech, editor-at-large for The Spectator, host of the Ben Domenech podcast on Fox News Radio. Guy Benson, political editor at townhall.com, host of the Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio. Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist. Don't you have something on Fox News Radio? I mean, for God's sakes, everybody does here.
No, I'm left out. I'm not a cool kid. I'm not invited to the party.
Well, let me ask you this. There's a lot of focus, obviously, on Congresswoman Tlaib. Others who've posted this stuff. What do you think broadly of U.S. support? If you look at this Quinnipiac poll, Democratic and Republican approval, sending military equipment to help Israel fight Hamas, 59% of Democrats, 79% of Republicans, and obviously that was the message President Biden was delivering today in Israel.
Look, I think after the hospital bombing, there are people that, to me, it's sort of like terrorists say, oh, we didn't do it, really? You're going to believe that? And there are some people that say, well, Israel's not going to own up to it if the IDF did that. I think what bothers people is that specifically one day before the bombing, the IDF spokesperson said that, quote, they had warned evacuating all of the hospitals, specifically the Al-Ali Baptist Hospital, which was hit, as well as 5 other hospitals. So some people say, well, why did they give that warning if they were going to follow up with that? Of course, now following up with that, American intelligence has said, and I trust our intelligence, it definitely was, the bad guys here. But I do see, and I've seen specifically with Jordan and Egypt, I want to say 180, but definitely a change with, hey, we stand with Israel, this is terrible, and do not cross that line with Gaza. And the reason is the Palestinian people. We are seeing horrific videos of mothers on both sides of this. And when I say both sides of this, both sides of the border, Gaza and Israel, mothers holding dead children and crying. I think you'd have to be dead not to care about that. As a mother, that bothers me. But with Rashida Tlaib, she is Palestinian, and I don't feel that she is speaking pro-Hamas, but she is speaking pro-Palestinian people, and she, like many other, want either a ceasefire or they want freedom for the Palestinian people.
I would call it effectively pro-Hamas, actually. And when you see the clip that we just played, the crowd starts shouting shame, not at her for lying about what happened, not at the people who actually bombed the parking lot at the hospital. They didn't actually destroy the hospital, but at Israel, the Jewish state that isn't responsible for what happened, because they are fixated on a narrative for various reasons that everything is always Israel's fault. What an absolute disgrace that she and other members of Congress, a handful of them, are perpetuating this lie even after the evidence has come to the fore.
The cancellation of the meeting with Jordan's king and Mahmoud Abbas while the president's over there, pretty big move.
There's a huge chain of effects here that came out of this false narrative about this hospital parking lot. That I agree with everything the guy just said there, and it's going to have ramifications for our foreign policy in the region that I think are a huge negative as well. The Biden administration really has a difficult task in front of them. The U.S. is really the only capable partner here, able to talk to all the different members here, able to sit down with them and meet and perhaps achieve something. But I don't think that we have a clear idea of what we want to achieve. I think behind the scenes, President Biden and the team there are trying to kind of slow the roll. They want to engage in humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza and the like. But within the context of Israel's response to this, as time goes on, the level of things that they can do shrinks, and their ability to affect that, is in a way that will actually achieve their aim, which should be cutting off the head of Hamas and making sure that nothing like what we saw on October 7th is ever able to happen again. That becomes harder and harder to do.
Quickly, just turning to the Speaker of the House, we had two members, Democrat and Republican, talking about possibly Democrats getting behind this empowering of a Speaker pro temp. It's really, the way forward. How do you get there, Leslie?
Well, you have to work together, and that's what this country, voted almost.
So we're not going to get there.
I told them in the green room I'm going to be speaker.
Oh,
hey,
okay.
what the heck? I don't have a radio show on Fox, but I have another radio show. No, Look, I know nobody is going to put my guy Hakeem Jeffries, in there,
No,
with the people on the right. But Democrats, as well as the Republicans that aren't holding the process hostage, although I know Ben disagrees with me on that, they want to get this moving. I mean, we need to get this moving. This is a very delicate time, especially with foreign policy, and there's so much that needs to be done, not just domestic, but certainly on an international level of funding.
Do Republicans relent in this because they can't get across the finish line?
I don't know. I mean, the Democrats should be basically irrelevant in the House because they're the minority, but they're highly relevant because the Republicans are doing this to themselves.
Speaker Patrick McHenry, Speaker pro tem plus through January. That's what's going to happen.
Might. That's what was talked about here.
I
Ben,
agree with you.
Thank you.